Bentley Motors Limited is a British-registered company that designs, develops, and manufactures Bentley luxury motor cars which are largely hand-built. It is a subsidiary of Volkswagen AG.Now based in Crewe, England. Bentley Motors Limited was founded by W.O. Bentley on 18 January 1919 in Cricklewood, North London. Bentley cars are sold via franchise dealers worldwide, and as of November 2012, China was the largest market. Most Bentley cars are assembled at the Crewe factory, but a small number of Continental flying spurs are assembled at the factory in Dresden, Germany. Bodies for the Continental are produced in Zwickau, Germany. Bentley won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1924, 1927, 1928, 1929, 1930, and 2003. Iconic Bentley models include the Bentley 4.5-litre, Bentley Speed 6, Bentley R-Type Continental, Bentley Turbo Up, and Bentley Enlarge. As of 2015, Bentley produced the Continental Flying Spur, Continental GT, Bentley Bentayga, and the Mulsanne. Rolls-Royce bought Bentley from the receivers in 1931 and subsequently sold it to Vickers plc in 1980 when Rolls-Royce themselves went bankrupt. In 1998, Vickers sold it to Volkswagen AG. The sale included the vehicle designs, model nameplates, production and administrative facilities, the Spirit of Ecstasy and Rolls-Royce grille shape trademarks, but not the rights to the Rolls-Royce name or logo, which are owned by Rolls-Royce Holdings plc and were licensed to BMW AG. Cricklewood. Before World War I, Walter Owen Bentley, and his brother, Horace Milner Bentley, sold French DFP cars in Cricklewood, North London. But W.O., as Walter was known, always wanted to design and build his own cars. At the DFP factory, in 1913, he noticed an aluminum paperweight and thought that aluminum might be a suitable replacement for cast iron to fabricate lighter pistons. The first Bentley aluminum pistons were fitted to Sopwith Camel aero engines during World War I. In August 1919, W.O. registered Bentley Motors Limited, and in October he exhibited a car chassis with dummy engine at the London Motor Show. Ex-Royal Flying Corps officer Clive Gallup designed an innovative 4-valve per-cylinder engine for the chassis. By December the engine was built and running. Delivery of the first cars was scheduled for June 1920, but development took longer than estimated, so the date was extended to September 1921. The durability of the first Bentley cars earned widespread acclaim, and they competed in hill climbs and raced at Brooklands. Bentley's first major event was the 1922 Indianapolis 500, a race dominated by specialized cars with Duesenberg racing chassis. They entered a modified road car driven by works driver Douglas Hawkes, accompanied by riding mechanic H.S. Bertie Browning. Hawkes completed the full 500 miles and finished 13th with an average speed of 74.95 miles per hour after starting in 19th position. The team was then rushed back to England to compete in the 1922 RAC Tourist Trophy. Captain Wolfe Barnato. In ironic reference to his heavyweight boxer's stature, Captain Wolfe Barnato was nicknamed Babe. In 1925, he acquired his first Bentley, a 3-litre. With this car he won numerous Brooklands races. Just a year later he acquired the Bentley business itself. The Bentley enterprise was always underfunded, but inspired by the 1924 Le Mans win by John Duff and Frank Clement, Barnato agreed to finance Bentley's business. Barnato had incorporated Barrowmans Limited in 1922, which existed as his finance and investment vehicle. Via Barrowmans, Barnato initially invested in excess of £100,000, saving the business and its workforce. A financial reorganization of the original Bentley company was carried out and all existing creditors paid off for £75,000. Existing shares were devalued from £1 each to just 1 shilling, or 5% of their original value. Barnato held 149,500 of the new shares, giving him control of the company, and he became chairman. Barnato injected further cash into the business, £35,000 secured by a debenture in July 1927, £40,000 in 1928, £25,000 in 1929. With renewed financial input, W.O. Bentley was able to design another generation of cars, the Bentley Boys. The Bentley Boys were a group of British motoring enthusiasts that included Wolf Barnato, Sir Henry Tim Birkin, steeplechaser George Duller, aviator Glenn Kidston, automotive journalist S.C.H. Sammy Davis, and Dr. Dudley Benjafield. The Bentley Boys favored Bentley cars. Many were independently wealthy and often had a military background. They kept the marque's reputation for high performance alive. Bentley was noted for its 4 consecutive victories at the 24 Hours of Le Mans from 1927 to 1930. In 1929, Tim Birkin developed the 4.5-litre lightweight blower Bentley at Welwyn Garden City and produced 5 racing specials, starting with Bentley Blow-In 01, which was optimized for the Brooklands racing circuit. Birkin overruled W.O. and put the model on the market before it was fully developed. As a result, it was unreliable. In March 1930, during the Blue Train races, Wolf Barnato raised the stakes on Rover and its Rover Light 6, having raced and beaten La Train Blue for the first time, to better that record with his 6.5-litre Bentley Speed 6 on a bet of £100. He drove against the train from Cannes to Calais, then by ferry to Dover, and finally London, travelling on public highways, and won. Barnato drove his H.J. Mulliner-bodied formal saloon in the race against the Blue Train. 2 months later, on the 21st of May 1930, he took delivery of a Speed 6 with streamlined fastback sportsman coupe by Gurney Nutting. Both cars became known as the Blue Train Bentleys. The latter is regularly mistaken for, or erroneously referred to as being, the car that raced the Blue Train, while in fact Barnato named it in memory of his race. A painting by Terence Cuneo depicts the Gurney Nutting coupe racing along a road parallel to the Blue Train, which scenario never occurred as the road and railway did not follow the same route. Cricklewood Bentleys 1921-29, 3-litre, 1926 to 34.5-litre and amp blower Bentley 1926 to 36.5-litre, 1928 to 36.5-litre Speed 6 1930-31, 8-litre, 1931 4-litre. The original model was the 3-litre, but as customers put heavier bodies on the chassis, a larger 4.5-litre model followed. Perhaps the most iconic model of the period is the 4.5-litre blower Bentley, with its distinctive supercharger projecting forward from the bottom of the grille. Uncharacteristically fragile for a Bentley, it was not the racing workhorse the 6.5-litre was, though in 1930 Birkin remarkably finished second in the French Grand Prix at Pau in a stripped-down racing version of the blower Bentley, behind Philippe Tancelin in a Bugatti Type 35. The 4.5-litre model later became famous in popular media as the vehicle of choice of James Bond in the original novels, but this has been seen only briefly in the films. John Steed in the television series The Avengers also drove a Bentley. The new 8-litre was such a success that when Barnetto's money seemed to run out in 1931 and Napier was planning to buy Bentley's business, Rolls-Royce purchased Bentley Motors to prevent it competing with the most expensive model, Phantom II. Performance at Le Mans. 24 Hours of Le Mans Grand Prix d'Endurance 1923 4th. 1924 first, 1925 did not finish, 1926 did not finish, 1927 first 15th 17th, 1928 first 5th, 1929 first, second, third, fourth, 1930 first, second. Bentley withdrew from motor racing just after winning at Le Mans in 1930, claiming that they had learned enough about speed and reliability. Liquidation. The Wall Street crash of 1929 and the resulting Great Depression throttled the demand for Bentley's expensive motor cars. In July 1931, two mortgage payments were due which neither the company nor Barnetto, the guarantor, were able to meet. On the 10th of July 1931 a receiver was appointed. Napier and Sund offered to buy Bentley, with the purchase to be final in November 1931. Instead, British Central Equitable Trust made a winning sealed bid of £125,000. British Central Equitable Trust later proved to be a front for Rolls-Royce Limited. Not even Bentley himself knew the identity of the purchaser until the deal was completed. Barnetto received £42,000 for his shares in Bentley Motors. By coincidence, he had bought a sizable stake in Rolls-Royce not long before Bentley Motors was liquidated. In 1934 he was appointed to the board of the new Bentley Motors Limited. In the same year, Bentley confirmed that it would continue racing. The attempted total obliteration of Bentley Motors and its founder was an outcome of a long-standing vendetta between Hives and Bentley. The two engineers had completely opposing natures. The conflict began in 1914 when Bentley was made official liaison between government and aero engine manufacturers. Bentley may have been the better engineer, but his weaknesses were poor personal relationships and his inability to curb spending on development. The 8-litre was acknowledged to be the better if more expensive car. He became patron of the Bentley Drivers Club when Wolf Barnetto's term as its president ended. Derby and Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce took over the assets of Bentley Motors Limited and formed a subsidiary, Bentley Motors Limited. Rolls-Royce had acquired the Bentley showrooms in Cork Street, the service station at Kingsbury, the complex at Cricklewood and the services of Bentley himself. This last was disputed by Napier in court without success. Bentley had neglected to register the trademark, so Rolls-Royce immediately did so. They also sold the Cricklewood factory in 1932. Production stopped for 2 years before resuming at the Rolls-Royce works in Derby. Unhappy with his role at Rolls-Royce when his contract expired at the end of April 1935, Bentley left to join Lagonda. When the new Bentley 3.5-litre appeared in 1933, it was a sporting variant of the Rolls-Royce 2025, which disappointed some traditional customers yet was well received by many others. W.O. Bentley was reported as saying, "Taking all things into consideration, I would rather own this Bentley than any other car produced under that name." Rolls-Royce's advertisements from the 3.5-litre called it the silent sports car, a slogan Rolls-Royce continued to use for Bentley cars until the 1950s. All Bentleys produced from 1931 to 2004 used inherited a shared Rolls-Royce chassis, and adapted Rolls-Royce engines, and are described by critics as badge-engineered Rolls-Royces. Derby Bentley's 1933 to 37 3.5-litre, 1936 to 39 4.25-litre, 1939 to 41 Mark V, 1939 Mark V, Crewe and Rolls-Royce. In preparation for war, Rolls-Royce and the British government searched for a location for a shadow factory to ensure production of aero engines. Crewe, with its excellent road and rail links, as well as being located in the northwest away from the aerial bombing starting in mainland Europe, was a logical choice. Crewe also had extensive open farming land. Construction of the factory started on a 60-acre area on the potato fields of Merrill's farm in July 1938, with the first Rolls-Royce Merlin aero engine rolling off the production line 5 months later. 25,000 Merlin engines were produced, and at its peak, in 1943 during World War II, the factory employed 10,000 people. With the war in Europe over and the general move towards the then new jet engines, Rolls-Royce concentrated its aero engine operations at Derby and moved motorcar operations to Crewe. Standard saloons until sometime after World War II. Most high-end motorcar manufacturers like Bentley and Rolls-Royce did not supply complete cars. They sold rolling chassis, near complete from the instrument panel forward. Each chassis was delivered to the coach builder of the buyer's choice. The biggest specialist car dealerships had coach builders build standard designs for them, which were held in stock awaiting potential buyers. To meet post-war demand, particularly UK government pressure to export and earn overseas currency, Rolls-Royce developed an all-steel body using pressings made by Press Steel to create a standard, ready-to-drive complete saloon car. The first steel-bodied model produced was the Bentley Mark VI. These started to emerge from the newly reconfigured Crewe factory early in 1946. Some years later, initially only for export, the Rolls-Royce Silver Dawn was introduced, a standard steel Bentley but with a Rolls-Royce radiator grille for a small extra charge, and this convention continued. Chassis remained available to coach builders until the end of production of the Bentley S3, which was replaced for October 1965 by the chassis-less monocoque construction T-Series. Bentley Continental. The Continental Fastback Coupe was aimed at the UK market. Most cars, 164 plus a prototype, being right-hand drive. The chassis was produced at the Crewe factory and shared many components with the standard R-Type. Other than the R-Type standard steel saloon, R-Type Continentals were delivered as rolling chassis to the coach builder of choice. Coachwork for most of these cars was completed by H.J. Mulliner and Ampco, who mainly built them in fastback coupe form. Other coachwork came from Park Ward, who built 6, later including a drop-hit coupe version. Franay built 5, Graber built 3, one of them later altered by Kong, and Pininfarina made 1. James Young built in 1954 a sports saloon for the owner of James Young's, James Barclay. The early R-Type Continental has essentially the same engine as the standard R-Type, but with modified carburation, induction and exhaust manifolds along with higher gear ratios. After July 1954 the car was fitted with an engine having now a larger bore of 94.62 mm with a total displacement of 4,887 cc. The compression ratio was raised to 7.251. Crewe Rolls-Royce Bentleys made by Rolls-Royce Limited. In Crewe. Standard steel saloon 1946 to 52 Mark 6 1952 to 55 R-Type. Continental 1952 to 55 R-Type Continental. S-Series 1955 to 59 S1 and Continental. 1959 to 62 S2 and Continental. 1962 to 65 S3 and Continental. 1977 to 80 T2, 1971 to 84 Corniche, 1975 to 86 Camargue. Crewe and Vickers. The problems of Bentley's owner with Rolls-Royce aero engine development, the RB211, brought about the financial collapse of its business in 1970. The motorcar division was made a separate business, Rolls-Royce Motors Limited, which remained independent until bought by Vickers plc in August 1980. By the 1970s and early 1980s, Bentley sales had fallen badly. At one point, less than 5% of combined production carried the Bentley badge. Under Vickers, Bentley set about regaining its high-performance heritage, typified by the 1980 Mulsanne. Bentley's restored sporting image created a renewed interest in the name, and Bentley sales as a proportion of output began to rise. By 1986, the Bentley-Rolls-Royce ratio had reached 40 to 60. By 1991, it achieved parity. Crewe Vickers Bentley's 1984 to 95 Continental, convertible 1992 to 95 Continental Turbo. 1980 to 92 Bentley Mulsanne, 1984 to 88 Mulsanne L, Limousine 1982 to 85 Mulsanne Turbo, 1987 to 92 Mulsanne S, 1984 to 92 8 Basic Model, 1985 to 95 Turbo R turbocharged performance version, 1991 to 2002 Continental R turbocharged two-door model, 1994-95 Continental S intercooled, 1996 to 2002 Continental T, 1999 to 2003 Continental R Mulliner performance model, 1992 to 98 Brooklands improved 8, 1996 to 98 Brooklands R performance Brooklands, 1994-95 Turbo S limited edition sports model, 1994-95 Continental S to-order only version of Continental R with features of Turbo S incorporated. 1995 to 97 New Turbo R, updated 96MY Turbo R with revised bumpers, single front or glazing, new door mirrors, spare in trunk, engine cover, new seat design, auto lights, auto wipers, etc. 1995 to 2003 Azure convertible Continental R, 1996 to 2002 Continental T short wheel base performance model, 1997-98 Turbo RL, new, Turbo RL WB, 1997-98 Bentley Turbo RT, replacement for the Turbo RL 1997-98 RT Mulliner, ultra-exclusive performance model, Volkswagen AG vs BMW AG. In October 1997, Vickers announced that it had decided to sell Rolls-Royce Motors. BMW AG seemed to be a logical purchase because BMW already supplied engines and other components for Bentley and Rolls-Royce branded cars, and because of BMW and Vickers' joint efforts in building aircraft engines, BMW made a final offer of £340 million, but was outbid by Volkswagen AG, which offered £430 million. Volkswagen AG acquired the vehicle designs, model nameplates, production and administrative facilities, the Spirit of Ecstasy and Rolls-Royce grille-shaped trademarks, but not the rights to the use of the Rolls-Royce name or logo, which are owned by Rolls-Royce Holdings plc. In 1998, BMW started supplying components for the new range of Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars, notably V8 engines for the Bentley Enage and V12 engines for the Rolls-Royce Silver Serif. However, the supply contract allowed BMW to terminate its supply deal with Rolls-Royce with 12 months' notice, which would not be enough time for Volkswagen to re-engineer the cars. BMW paid Rolls-Royce plc £40 million to license the Rolls-Royce name and logo. After negotiations, BMW and Volkswagen AG agreed that, from 1998 to 2002, BMW would continue to supply engines and components and would allow Volkswagen temporary use of the Rolls-Royce name and logo. All BMW engine supply ended in 2003 with the end of Silver Serif production. For the 1st of January 2003 forward, Volkswagen AG would be the sole provider of cars with the Bentley mark. BMW established a new legal entity, Rolls-Royce Motorcars Limited, and built a new administrative headquarters and production facility for Rolls-Royce branded vehicles in Goodwood, West Sussex, England. Car models: Crewe VW and AMP. BMW 1999 to 2002 Azure Mulliner performance model. 1999 Continental T Mulliner firmer suspension. Modern Bentleys. After acquiring the business, Volkswagen spent £500 million to modernise the Crewe factory and increase production capacity. As of early 2010, there are about 3,500 working at Crewe, compared with about 1,500 in 1998 before being taken over by Volkswagen. It was reported that Volkswagen invested a total of nearly $2 billion in Bentley and its revival. As a result of upgrading facilities at Crewe, the bodywork now arrives fully painted at the Crewe facility for final assembly, with the parts coming from Germany. Similarly, Rolls-Royce body shells are painted and shipped to the UK for assembly only. In 2002, Bentley presented Queen Elizabeth II with an official state limousine to celebrate her Golden Jubilee. In 2003, Bentley's two-door convertible, the Bentley Azure, ceased production, and Bentley introduced a second line, Bentley Continental GT, a large luxury coupe powered by a W12 engine built in Crewe. Demand had been so great that the factory at Crewe was unable to meet orders despite an installed capacity of approximately 9,500 vehicles per year. There was a waiting list of over a year for new cars to be delivered. Consequently, part of the production of the new Flying Spur, a four-door version of the Continental GT, was assigned to the Transparent factory, where the Volkswagen Phaeton luxury car is also assembled. This arrangement ceased at the end of 2006 after around 1,000 cars, with all car production reverting to the Crewe plant. In April 2005, Bentley confirmed plans to produce a four-seat convertible model, the Azure, derived from the Enage drop-head coupe prototype, at Crewe beginning in 2006. By the autumn of 2005, the convertible version of the successful Continental GT, the Continental GTC, was also presented. These two models were successfully launched in late 2006. A limited run of its Zagato modified GT was also announced in March 2008, dubbed GTZ. A new version of the Bentley Continental was introduced at the 2009 Geneva Auto Show, the Continental Supersports. This new Bentley is a supercar combining extreme power with environmentally friendly flex-fuel technology, capable of using petrol and biofuel. Bentley sales continued to increase, and in 2005 8,627 were sold worldwide, 3,654 in the United States. In 2007, the 10,000 cars per year threshold was broken for the first time with sales of 10,014. For 2007, a record profit of €155 million was also announced. Bentley reported a sale of about 7,600 units in 2008. However, its global sales plunged 50% to 4,616 vehicles in 2009, and it suffered an operating loss of €194 million, compared with an operating profit of €10 million in 2008. As a result of the slump in sales, production at Crewe was shut down during March and April 2009. Though vehicle sales increased by 11% to 5,117 in 2010, operating loss grew by 26% to €245 million. In autumn 2010, workers at Crewe staged a series of protests over proposal of compulsory work on Fridays and mandatory overtime during the week. Vehicle sales in 2011 rose 37% to 7,003 vehicles, with the new Continental GT accounting for over one-third of total sales. The current workforce is about 4,000 people. The business earned a profit in 2011 after 2 years of losses as a result of the following sales results: deliveries, profits and staff sources, Volkswagen AG annual reports and press releases, production sources, Volkswagen AG annual reports, unsold cars. During the years 2011 and 2012, production exceeded deliveries by 1,187 cars, which is estimated to have trebled inventory. Car models: Crewe Volkswagen 1998, a large saloon. 1999, Honaudias concept. 2002, State Limousine. 2003, Continental GT Coupe. 2005, Continental Flying Spur Saloon. 2006, Azure Convertible. 2006, Continental GT Convertible. 2007, Continental GT Speed Coupe. 2008, Bentley Brooklands Coupe. 2008, Bentley Continental Flying Spur Speed Saloon. 2009, Continental GT Sea Speed. 2009, Azure T. 2009, Enlarged Saloon, Final Series. 2009, Continental Supersports. 2009, Bentley Zagato GTZ. 2010, Bentley Mulsanne. 2011, second generation Continental GT. 2013, Bentley Flying Spur. 2016, Bentley Bentayga Motorsport. A Bentley Continental GT3 entered by the M Sport Factory team won the Silverstone round of the 2014 Blancpain Endurance Series. This was Bentley's first official entry in a British race since the 1930 RAC Tourist Trophy. Bibliography. Feast, Richard. Kidnap of the Flying Lady: How Germany Captured Both Rolls-Royce and Bentley. Motorbooks. ISBN 0-7603-16864. Frankel, Andrew. Bentley, The Story. Redwood Publishing. ISBN 0-951775197. Parisian, Stephen. The Life of the Automobile, A New History of the Motor Car. London, Atlantic Books. ISBN 9781848877054.